There we go. All right, live in 5, 4, 3. Hey everyone, welcome here to today's Fixed Ops Strategies webcast panel discussion, group mastermind, call it what you will. This is one of 6 different webcast panel programs that we conduct under the Auto Retail Marketing Webcast series. And today is Tuesday, April 28th. I'm Ryan Girardi. Thank you for joining us, whether you're here on the live webcast or backstage on Zoom with us. Or maybe you're watching the recording of this later. And if you are watching this later, look in the comments. I'll usually leave clickable time markers. You can bounce around from subject to subject as we go through the panel discussion. Today, we're going to be looking at addressing shortages and costs in fixed ops. We're talking about selling parts on eBay and obsolescence. We're going to recap the recent Ted Ings Fixed Ops Roundtable. We have some panelists here today that participated in that. We'll also be looking at mobile vehicle service, something that's become more necessary since COVID-19 came into play. And then we'll also be talking about local delivery and pickup and delivery types of service. We have Ed Moons from Bozard Ford Lincoln here, back as usual. Always good to have Ed here. I have Carl Krug from Revolution Parts. Jeff Infeld is here from Quick Ride, and Owen Moon is here as well. Let me get the panelists up here and say hello. Hello, everybody.
Hello, greetings.
Hey, Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
Right here.
How we
Great to
doing?
have you. Great to have you guys here. Anyone that's backstage on the Zoom, you're welcome to use the Q&A feature to ask questions to the panel without disrupting us, and then we can answer those live here. If you want to raise your hand and have me turn on your audio, happy to do that as well if you're on Zoom. If you're on the live chat or on the live stream, obviously feel free to engage with us there. I'll do my best to field any questions, but I put a link there if you want to get yourself registered and hop up here on Zoom and have your audio on and participate. You're welcome to do that as well. This is recorded and featured on the AutoConverse podcast. In fact, I'm happy to announce we just today finally released our latest episode, which I'm about to share up here if my screen will work any better. There we go. The Unassuming Undetected Fixed Ops Disruptor. And what this is literally a mashup of 3 different sessions, our last 3 sessions from January, February, and March. Great episode. Here's the beauty of it. It's a 30-minute episode. So we bring you up to speed on probably 3 or 4 hours worth of conversation, all bundled into about 30 minutes. So the podcast is a whole different experience. And if you're not subscribed already, I encourage you to get subscribed. All right, gentlemen, you ready to get going?
Yes.
Let's start things off. Jeff, I asked you to hop up here. I know that Ed and Owen were also at the virtual Fixed Ops Roundtable. I was able to tune in for about an hour, but I wasn't able to be on all day. I guess my first question is, were you on the whole time or just when you were participating?
Personally, well, welcome to my spare bedroom, non-haircut. As we go, day 40 of this lockdown here in California.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was there probably for half of the sessions. It kicked off early East Coast time, so Ed's time. There was nice and early. It was like 6:30 in the morning here Pacific, so I think I hopped on a little later in the day and stayed till about the end of the run there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was popping in and out.
And you and Ed were on the same panel?
No, I think we're on different panels.
Okay.
Yeah.
I misheard that. I saw Ed. I had seen you up there. You were in the service van like you were last month up here.
Yes.
Which I think is a nice touch. It's a good touch. I like that.
Yeah, it just puts a little bit of visual to it, so you can it becomes reality then.
It's the real reality of self-isolation. He's just manifesting it right there. Everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Owen. I was on it most of the day. I obviously was working and doing other things. The thing about the virtual roundtable or a virtual event is, you don't get that one-on-one, meeting people and sort of that experience. But I think I really liked it. I thought that it was great. Whatever software they used was dynamite. It flowed very well. There wasn't any glitches in the deal. I think it was one of the best ones. The content was great. And I really liked it. Like I said, being a guy that travels a lot, to have that advantage of being able to sit at my desk and work while I listened and watched, with one eye as I'm doing other stuff on the other side. I think it was a stand-up event for sure. And, we're one of the big sponsors for them. So, seeing the attendee list afterwards blew my mind. I mean, there was a lot of people that were registered. Now he gave it for free, so that that's part of it, right? Everybody wanted to attend a free event, which good for him. I think that was great for especially this time where we're at. But yeah, ultimately, I had no complaints at all. So.
Yeah, I think it went phenomenally well as well. I watched about 80% of it. I had to check out a couple of times to handle a couple of things, but the entire event flowed well. Content was relevant. The one-on-one personal touch that Owen mentioned is the only thing that was missing. Other than that, it was great.
Yeah, virtual. When everybody got quarantined, there was, I think, a lot of dialogue around, okay, everyone's going to have to start using video and doing webinars. And it happened. I mean, Zoom, everyone knows Zoom blew up. Yeah, I don't even bother trying to get tech support from Zoom anymore because you're like the 500th person in the queue, which is insane, But the reality is video conferencing like we're doing here is draining. It's mentally draining. And I would theorize it's because unlike when you're face to face with somebody, you're actually exchanging energy, real energy. You're kind of feed off each other. I don't think that transmits through video, and it could be exhausting. So the idea of a whole day, I imagine for Ted and whoever, who is his co-host, I don't know Ted's co-host.
Gene.
Yeah,
Gene.
I imagine that would be really exhausting. I can tell you after, 60 to 90 minutes of these sessions we do, I usually need to meditate or go for a walk and unwind.
One of the things I said
that's
after,
true. Good point.
one of the things I said after it wrapped up was virtually doing it, you can't see if you have the audience attention. So there's nobody to go out and look at and see if you need to change directions or take it in a different path or whatever else. So you just roll with it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an element that is the draining part of it, as you would say.
Yeah. And someone I know like
Agreed.
myself, I feed off of body language, and you definitely don't get that. I mean, you get it like in this case where we're seeing each other, but that's about, you don't see the invisible audience. How about content wise, Jeff? What did you present on?
I was on the panel for how are dealerships going to recover out of the COVID situation. So we were able to chat about different solutions that dealers are adopting quickly to kind of get the lights back on and the doors back open. As you know, Quick Ride, we cover the transportation logistics software for the dealerships to get out there, pick up vehicles, drop off vehicles, mobile advisors where advisors are driving around in the shuttles instead of customers, and they're dropping off orders, doing tablet write-ups and getting the cars back to the dealerships. And then of course this movement for mobile mechanics. So building out Ed's doing this now quite successfully and ramping it up at his dealership where they've got a small fleet of trucks that are equipped to go out and do warranty work or tires or oil change and just keep a mobile, extend the dealership's reach out into the mobile community for the service that's needed. And the content I thought was really, what I liked, it was quick, it was moving fast. There was a lot of, I saw more experts kind of talk about certain things. And the theme for me was that this was a very important time for dealerships. Excuse me, sorry. Didn't mute my phone.
A little concert going on there.
Yeah. Is the theme of how important the fixed ops really is in the dealership and how it was getting overshadowed for so long. And the COVID situation has really shined the spotlight on the fixed ops side as being the leading area of the dealership that can improve and change and innovate and get creative with the growth for the dealership as the retail world was kind of put on pause. So that was a major theme, and it was great to hear all the different speakers highlight the means and ways that they're doing it to get back in the swing of things.
How, since last month when we last met here, how have things evolved specific to ride share, being that's what Quick Ride focuses on? How has things changed at the dealer level in regards to ride share and social distancing and whatnot?
So I think a lot more dealers are starting to experiment with it. Ones that would never engage in that aspect of their dealership, had no interest to it. They were really all about in-drive, lane experience, are really saying, well, how do I reach out to the local community and service them? And the epiphany is for them is like, wow, this is kind of the way customers really want to be serviced in a big way. There's a lot of people that would love that pickup and drop off service, and just the way like dry cleaners have gone to a pickup and drop off in these last few years. There's a pent up demand that they're tapping into. Now, some don't want that, obviously, but we're seeing a lot more dealers, and especially dealer groups, saying, okay, we need to embrace this as the new normal, perhaps, and get out in the marketplace and have that kind of presence. So that's the biggest thing that we're seeing right now.
Ed, for you guys in the service garage, what's the customer experience right now? How has it evolved in the last month, and what's the volume look like?
So volume, we're back up to about 80% now of normal volume. So we're pretty good there. And experience is practicing what you preach. We tell them we're doing this, that, and the other, and you got to do it. So it's a little bit of show and tell. We're disinfecting vehicles before we take possession of them. But going back to a couple things that Jeff said, as far as it being a new focus in fixed ops always becomes the focus when there's a downturn, because it's what carries things out. And part of that reason is needs versus wants. Everybody needs transportation, but you don't necessarily have to have a new car. So a new car is a want. You need transportation, and to keep transportation rolling, it drives fixed ops. So there's more of an emphasis goes on to the needs piece than the wants.
Yeah. You think about, Ryan, with only dealers are retaining on average 25% of the service business from the retail sales, right? That's a lot of opportunity to grow. And now all of a sudden you're forced to examine, why are we only tapping into 25% of market share from our own customers? So where do we do? And now the opportunity says, oh, if we can service customers the way they want to be treated, right? Or the way that they're envisioning their convenience factor, then there's the greatest opportunity right there. It's opening up right in front of us.
Well, it comes down to what are your why service, propositions, right? We've been doing that for years on the sales side, saying, hey, why buy from us? Why buy from us? Now it comes down to what you can do to set yourself apart from a dealership level with the why service. And so that's, if you look at the roundtable, that's what I like about the roundtable, was that it's a lot of different things, right? It's not just marketing. It's not just, training. It's not just products, chemicals and things like that. I was a little frustrated at times because I felt like there was companies trying to talk about, the importance of SEO and website content when they're a chemical company. It's like kind of stay in your lane a little bit. So there was a little of that going on, but I think what happened was, I think you had people, just kind of starving for visibility, right? They haven't really been able to do much for the last few weeks, not in their normal world. And so I think just anything they can talk about during their sessions was on the table. And, so it'd be like me kind of coming in and start talking about, how to train technicians. I mean, it's just a little out of my wheelhouse, but that type of thing. Myself, I really focused on getting a little deeper into the conversation. I've been speaking at 2 or 3 different roundtable events over about the last year, and we were doing a lot of conceptual, right? Like why you need to put your services online, why you need to build out that content page that's going to allow Google to pick it up and that type of thing. And I think the message was great, and it was a good message, and it's something that we, that's sort of our sounding board. But what I was really able to do in that 20 minutes that I talked was do sort of a case study where we showed through data that we were able to pull with a client that nobody is going to your service specials page on their own or through normal organic type of scenarios. So what we did when we came in and started working with them and actually building out their service menu page, being more technical from a Google standpoint and from a search engine standpoint, the amount of growth that we were able to show over the course of time as those pages continue to mature and index and Google starts to move them up the ranking, the amount of growth is tremendous. And we see this all the time, but with only having 20 minutes, it's hard to really talk about all of the facets of that type of approach. So I just kept it really simple. I said, here's what we, looked at when we started working with this company. Here's where we were year over year. And then here's where we were by the end of that year, where we were actually working them for 12 full months. And, when you see a 400, 500, 600% increase in people coming to your website, those aren't people that are just shopping. As Ed said, these aren't people that are just out there looking at new cars and wishing and wanting. These are people that have problems. They have challenges. They have, transmission issues, and they need their brakes fixed and things like that. So they're out there looking for these opportunities and where can they actually, where they can get that work done. And so even if there was a 30% increase in traffic, it's better than nothing, because those are actual paying customers that are looking for those opportunities. So I just kind of explained that in my session. I thought it went really well. I actually had a few dealers reach out to me afterwards and ask for, demonstrations and a little deeper dive into our product. So, it got done what I needed to get done. I felt great to throw a suit coat on and take a shower, brush my hair, all that good stuff. So felt pretty normal for the day. I even threw a watch on that day, figured, what the heck, let's do the whole thing. Right. So no, it was actually a really good day because it felt normal, it felt really normal in this environment. And I know, that's what we try to do with our clients as much as possible, is make them feel as normal as we can from the day to day, whether it's us providing reporting, doing performance calls, just talking, strategizing. I know Kevin and I have been on a lot of calls the last month. Just how are things going? What's going on in your state? Can we talk? And they have that little conversation. In fact, I've had people say, my conversation with you, Owen, was the best conversation I had all week. So thank you for reaching out, that type of thing. So
can you clarify something that you said earlier about, I think you said that customers on your website, on dealer sites, won't go to the service specials pages on their own? Were you saying they have to be prompted on the website? Is that what you were getting at?
No, what it is when we segment all of our Google Analytics data. So we can actually show how many people are coming into different pages organically. And what we see time and time again is that organically nobody comes into the service specials page. Now they might come in through a sales channel, and then they might make their way over to the service specials page. They might have a Facebook campaign or some sort of a more of a push strategy, right? Like an email blast, where we're trying to drive people into that service specials page. You can buy your way into traffic, right? It's just the organic side, which is kind of where our foundation is. We were able to see, and we showcase this on a lot of different sites that we've did a lot of analysis on. But basically, that by itself, no one's just coming to those pages. And then, of course, in a lot of cases, if they do get there, there's really no content there. So how long are you going to stick around, right? If I came to a page to look for information on the NFL draft and there wasn't anything there for me to look at, I'm not sticking around. I'm going to go find somebody else. So, we just are trying to, kind of show the real value in what we do for our dealers through data, because data matters, and especially in today's digital world,
So when you say that they're not getting there through organic search, are you saying focus on creating content that does get people there through search, or you're saying find a different way to get them to your specials pages?
Little both. I mean, obviously, if you can get it there organically, that's more of earned traffic, right? So it doesn't cost you nearly as much to bring them there. So be able to build out content on the website that is optimized for Google to find you and sort of bring you up the rankings, and then drive that traffic in. So then when you do decide to do more paid strategies, those are probably a little bit more specific to, strategic strategies, right? Like talking about tires, or, talking about certain I've talked to some dealers that need more oil changes. Doesn't happen too often, but when it does happen, you can put a strategy together to go after that. So really using your paid strategies for more of that, I would say, pillared approach, where you're just trying to find certain services or certain strategies that you want to try to really attack, and letting the organic kind of work for the bigger picture and the kind of all your strategies, cohesively,
I want to pivot a little bit into some home delivery type stuff and the mobile service. So Jeff, did you want to ask Owen a question? Because I thought you put something in there.
Well, two things I do want to mention, because Owen mentioned a little bit about what was really effective with the Tiddings webinar, was there was a sense, because it was all these panels, we had people right from their homes and stuff. There was this intimacy, and there was this one panel with, I think it was, the name was women in the workplace. It was a women's panel, all women, about them. And I think it was called, Wife, Mom, and Wonder Woman. That's right. And you had, I don't know if anybody saw that. That was the last panel of the day, but it was really good. It was a lot of people that you would not see typically at these conferences, because they just wouldn't go, or they just are too busy to go. So it was all about a woman's perspective of in the automotive world and the situations they find themselves in, and dealing with being wife, mom, and a business professional. So that one, I thought, was that medium really worked well in that format for those items that were discussing. So
Agreed.
Sorry.
I'm trying to get on Twitter while you're talking, and I can't seem to get up on Twitter. I wonder if it's down. I think Twitter's down.
You've closed it down?
Something shut it down. All right, good. So Ed, give us an update on your mobile vehicle service, if you could, and then Carl, we'll get into eBay parts and whatnot.
Well, a lot of people are talking about, I want normal back, and normal's not coming back. Normal is history. And the new normal that we all talk about is created. We got to create that new normal. We can't just wait for it to show up, because if we wait for it to show up, we're already going to be behind. So we got to create that new normal, and we got to find new roads. And one of the roads that we've went down is mobile service. A lot of dealers are doing pickup and delivery now. A lot are still throwing out excuses, like Jeff said earlier, that they give all the reasons why they can't do it. But you got to find ways to not say no. When you ask yourself, how can we do this, or how can we do that? And first thing you think of is the things that's going to prevent you, the preventers. And you got to find a way to work through those. So mobile service has been a big hit for us, and we'll continue to embrace that. I have 2 full-time trucks running that is very well equipped. We're working on building 2 more that is not nearly as equipped, because we can stage that to go to different things, and that may not necessarily require everything that we have on the other 2, and then keep those 2 for the higher level stuff that we do. But it's just one path of finding a new road to create our new normal, because it isn't just going to fall in our lap. We got to create it.
How's the volume compare percentage-wise between your mobile vans and in the shop itself?
I keep them 100% booked. I actually had to create a window Friday before last to have it there for the roundtable. But we're a big store. We got 93 lifts, several flat stalls. So that's 2 rolling bays but they're really two rolling dealerships. They're two billboards for me as well. So I'm getting advertisement from them, and it carries the entire service department with it. They're the service advisor. They're everything.
Now, does the dealer pay for that advertising into your, kind of subsidize your cost there?
We're not a silo dealership, so we all feed each other, and so it's one big circle here.
You have 93 bays?
I do. 93 lifts. If you count flat bays, I'm over 100.
How many physical facilities?
I'm working on 3 addresses, 4 total buildings.
Okay. Wow, man. That's all for Ford. I mean, you're Ford and Lincoln.
Ford, Lincoln, then I have a standalone quick lane.
Oh, yes. Okay. Now, when you roll out the new Lincoln store, that's going to have its own service, or is it just is that more just its own showroom?
It's an adjacent building. It was old Gander Mountain that we have reconstructed into a dealership, and it has 48 bays in it. We don't call it Lincoln service. All of our service is Bozard service. Some of it's done in the Lincoln building, some of it's done in the Ford building, some of it's done in Quick Lane.
And each truck is considered a bay for you?
Yes. That's a rolling bay. It's a rolling dealership, really.
Anyone else in the area doing that?
There's a couple people that has stuck their toe in it, but we've jumped in screaming cannonball. We went all in to make something happen with it, because you have to. It is a commitment. It's a commitment to find the work. It's a commitment to push it out there. It's a commitment to promote it. And when you do all those things, it all ties back together to brand loyalty. And we're all about building the brand.
You said you've jumped in it screaming cannonball?
We jumped all the way in. We didn't stick our toe in.
I would say that it is one of Ed's secret sauce, if I can give that away, is you have a very strong back office group of BDC folks that know how to book and schedule, not only in dealership, but get also on the road. So they're very organized and they understand how to calendar the jobs.
So I'll touch on that a bit. My BDC, they don't get bonused off of appointments or whatever else. They get bonus on whether we hit budget or not. So when we have a missed appointment, they have other tools in the toolbox now to go find a way to turn that around. The customer's already told us they have a need. So now we can either go to it mobile if they had a fear to come into the dealership, or we can do a pickup and delivery. But when they're bonused off of hitting budget, they find ways to help you get there.
Yeah. I would echo that, Ryan, is the dealerships I see that are really embracing this quickly and fast are using their BDC less inbound and a lot more outbound. So they'll look at who's got under recalls, and they'll start dialing the phone and just start booking appointments as quickly as they can. Some dealerships say, we'll focus on this area of town, Monday, Tuesday, this area, and just make things happen. That's a proactive approach that we're seeing.
I think Twitter's working again, at least.
You fixed it.
Yeah. Well done.
Right here. I think. I don't hold you.
Nicely done, Ryan.
I'm just trying to get a tweet out while we're jiving here, and it's getting harder and harder. All right. So mobile vehicle service, when are you going to add a third van? Anytime soon?
In May, we'll be rolling with a third and fourth van.
Okay. So you're going to roll out 2 in a row.
Yes.
All right.
Well, both of those combined we'll have less money than we have in one of these vans. These vans are about $85,000 a piece.
Wow.
And you say, you keep them fully booked. You're keeping them fully booked, but are people calling saying, I'd like you to come here and service me, or you offer that, say, hey, would you like us to come there and service you?
It's like anything. When if a customer asks for it, you've kind of already failed. You have to push it out there. So if a customer comes in and asks for a credit card, hey, you got some way of financing this, so they probably can't get approved for the credit card that you could send their way. So yes, we have demand for it, but it's stuff that we have better avenues to somewhat stay better profitability wise on doing with pickup and delivery. So, it's tough to make money on an oil change, bringing it to the dealership, much less going to it mobily and doing it. And we waived all fees as far as any pickup and delivery, any mobile fees. We waived all of that through COVID. So we try to drive it to where we can turn production hours and then along the way. So I'll give you an example. We'll go out to a customer's house to, let's say, for a check engine light. We know where that house is. We'll look at the path along that way, and then we'll pull up that dealers that we're going past their inventory and do a VIN search for recalls and whatever else we can do for them. We may not be able to hit the used car lots as far as pull them up online and be prepared for those, but we can do a drive-by en route to them. So either en route there or en route back, we can pick up 3 or 4 other flat rate hours in that same service call.
I have other dealers that are literally going to a hospital that day and notifying the administration at the hospital that they're going to be doing oil changes all day for staff, and they'll have a special price discount, some free sometimes not, just but like a what would you call that, Ed, where it's like a one-stop shop?
So we want to do some of that. We want to do it with communities. We want to do it at high school football games. We're kind of waiting for this stuff to be over where that stuff starts happening again. But when we can show up to a high school football game and raffle off free oil changes or whatever else, that's money that you get serious return on investment for those advertising dollars when you can build your brand out in front of your local community, because you're supporting that school that everybody's in tune with there, and you're driving them into your store. And if they won't, we'll do the service right there. So those are some of our future plans, but we got to get past COVID to make some of that stuff happen.
Yeah. Malls are another place they'll stake out. And, it's almost like reminds me of how radio stations in the 80s used to pick a spot, and have everybody show up for that little live event.
Exactly.
Live broadcast.
Yep. Yeah.
Owen, are any of your dealers that you're working with have mobile service vans like Ed does?
No, well, not that I know of. Most of them we were helping out with like pickup and delivery service, and I think for a lot of those dealers that wasn't even a thing. So they had to obviously not only talk about it, but then kind of staff up for it, move some people to different to be able to handle that. So maybe they were BDC agents or other parts of the dealership, and then they moved them into actually being able to pick up cars and drop off cars and stuff like that. So I would say that most dealerships probably weren't ready for it. But I think it's a great idea. I mean, mobile anything these days is good. I've actually got a guy coming in a couple of days to change my windshield on my vehicle, and he's going to do it right in my front yard, so right in my driveway. So I mean, no doubt that the more mobile we can become as a society, the better off. Now, to Ed's point, you got to watch out for costs, and you got to make sure that you're. It sounds like being a little even strategic in terms of how you get the most out of those opportunities as well. So yeah, most of our people were definitely most of our dealer clients were starting to just ramp up with pickup and delivery service. That they weren't doing even before. So I feel like most of them have done a really good job. I even had a couple that originally told me no, now we're not ready. And then as they kind of realized what they were working with and that they started to bring some people back off furlough to specifically help drive and pick up and drop off vehicles. So I think it's going to be the norm. I mean, I think as you get out of here, if you're not doing it, you're just going to get left behind because, again, not only were people busy before, but now when you take busy along with, the opportunity of safety and convenience and things like that, I think it's going to be bigger than ever. So, hats off to Ed. He's obviously a step ahead of everybody else, especially in his market, which is really all that matters. But, it's great to see guys like him, being out in front of the pack and leading the charge. And that's why he's on this show, because he's obviously a thought leader and somebody that's bringing ideas to the rest of the country. So again, Ed, great job, man.
Thanks, Owen. I can't take all the credit for doing this before COVID because this was kind of planned. We've been in the mobile service business for a little while, but COVID certainly enhanced it and allowed us to shift gears and create those paths, create those new roads that we're going to have to for our own new normal.
And I think that's the general consensus in all conversations I'm having is a lot of these ideas has been, in one ear out the other. It's been either rhetoric or, just dealers not embracing certain, certain innovations. And now that you're being forced to change. Oh, and you've talked about that numerous times, that, a lot of these
Well,
technologies,
it's a big commitment.
practices are, stickier now.
It's a big commitment. I mean, for us to throw something on our website that says, "Hey, we'll pick up and deliver," is one line, but the infrastructure that goes behind that is tremendous. So,
Yeah.
Guys have had to sit through, hours of meetings going, "Hey, how do we logistically do this? And how do we also do it with the new sanitation mentality and all that stuff?" That was a whole nother wrinkle that I'm sure Ed's team wasn't really thinking about when they first put this together, but it's also manpower, right? I mean, to say, "Hey, we wash all the vehicles," I mean, that took 10 seconds to say, not even 5, but each car could take 30 minutes. Well, someone's got to do it, and someone's got to do it efficiently and right and all that. So it's easy to talk about it. It's a lot harder to bring it together. So,
Ed, how many people per van? Is it 2?
So I don't send more than 2 out there in it, but sometimes I'll send a chase behind it if we're handling fleets. We had a recall about the time this came out, to where we sent 4 guys out. So 2 of them went by vehicle and only got 2 seats in the van. So I
Okay.
had 4 people working out of one van then, but usually it's just 2.
And then obviously, if you have to lift the vehicle, you have to bring the vehicle in.
So we can do brakes and tire rotations in field. We have jack stands and platforms that we put the jack stands on, that kind of stuff. But if it gets too intense, that second person in the van can just bring that vehicle back, and the other guy can go on to the next job.
Mm-hmm. Does this expand your geographic reach at all?
I don't think it necessarily. Well, yeah, it does. We went to Orlando first part of last week and handled some stuff down there. So that's 126 miles from here. We wouldn't have normally did a pickup and delivery there for sure.
Why did you have to go 126 miles to perform service? Like, what led to that?
It was for a municipality, and we had the state contract on police sedans,
Okay.
police SUVs, and there's a recall. So we went down and took care of all of them rather than them wait for the local dealer to take care of them. We wanted to take care of them because they scratch our back, we got to scratch theirs.
Very cool. Well, let's pivot a little bit, staying on the theme of home delivery, pickup and delivery. Carl, if I could, Revolution Parts has been focused on its local delivery service. Give us a recap of that. Matt spoke to it briefly last month, but let's hear it from your words.
So there's a lot of services out there that will deliver stuff to your house. So food, and a variety of other things. What we've done is we've partnered with a couple different delivery companies to make it possible for dealers to order a hot shot delivery from their facility to just about anywhere. So if you look back, just looking at food, 10 years ago, the only food you could order was pizza. Now with DoorDash and Postmates and some of the other services, you can order filet mignon. And so what we've done is we've partnered with some of those services to bring it all into one location so that dealers can ship parts quickly to their customers, which has huge implications during COVID, because now if you've got a DIY customer at their house and they're locked in place, you can get a part to them. Or more specifically on the wholesale mechanical, what you've had for a lot of years with wholesale mechanical is the aftermarket distributors have been very, very capable of getting that part to that customer in less than an hour. And it's always been a more difficult thing for dealers to do, because most of the wholesale business on the dealer side is collision. And so what the local delivery service allows is for the dealers to be able to use that to hit those hotshot service levels that their mechanical customers require at a price that's pretty reasonable. And so what they're able to do is scale up into the ability to have their own hotshot driver, but you don't have to, especially now in COVID times when people are trying to get some of that revenue back that Ed was talking about. They're trying to get some of that revenue back. Now you get into mechanical and I think it was Jeff was talking about how only 25% of the vehicles come back to the dealership for service. Well, they go to the independent shops, and the dealer performance in capturing that those mechanical parts is more in the range of 10 or 12%. So you're talking about big opportunities to go out and capture additional business just by improving the service levels. So you got a couple areas where we're expanding and using some of these local delivery services gives the dealership an opportunity to pick up a whole bunch of business, both from their mechanical wholesale customers, but also to help service customers, DIY customers who are looking for to have a part delivered to them because they're concerned about the social distancing and not going into a dealership to pick up a part.
Is most of the local delivery, is it mostly with consumers, or what about from like supply, the wholesale side?
So it's mostly wholesale. It's kind of interesting, Ryan, because dealers are finding all kinds of different, really creative ways to deliver parts, and this is filling a lot of needs for them. So there's a decent amount of DIY. There's a lot of wholesale. A lot of it is a collision shop needs a handful of clips to deliver the vehicle, and there's not a driver available, so they'll do it that way. They're getting parts back and forth between dealers, and they're moving a lot of stuff to the mechanical wholesale customers. And the mechanical wholesale customers, I really think, is where the opportunity is for the dealer, because the market share is so low in that area. There's really an opportunity to kick the sales up just by providing that service.
So talk to us a little bit, supply chains came up. I know, Ed, I really liked what you had said, that you started ordering 60 days out versus it was normally 27. Carl, what are you seeing on your end related to parts supply right now with your dealers?
So what we're hearing a lot in the market, this was kind of interesting because it wasn't like your typical recession where demand went away before supply did. It all just kind of stopped. And what that's doing is that's just creating change. So there's going to be instances where you're going to have parts that are hard to get a hold of, and there's going to be instances where there's going to be parts in inventory that you need to get rid of. So, and it's going to shift the demand. So it's going to be really important, I think, for folks to be able to kind of reset normal and be able to move some of those parts that are sitting on their shelves that are harder to move. And so there's some opportunities to get some of those parts online and out through eBay and some other channels where you can get rid of that excess inventory really quickly. And as Ed indicated, Ed, you said that it worked out well for you because you guys had some cash to put into inventory. I think what I'm hearing from a lot of folks is they're having the reverse problem. They've got all this cash tied up in inventory and they need to liquidate it. And so getting some of that moved through eBay and some of those other channels where you can get cost plus some profit on moving that inventory is going to be really important for people in the near future.
Hey, we're coming up on 45 minutes. I always meant to let you guys know if you got a bump, you don't feel obligated to stay here the whole time. But I do want to keep this, start wrapping this up. Owen, do you have any final any final input or things to throw in here for us today? Wait, hold on. Your audio's not. I see your mouth moving, but I don't see your audio.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Okay.
I said at the beginning of this year, I said it several times in different interviews, is that 2020 was going to be the year of fixed ops. And, obviously we didn't expect that this was going to happen from a pandemic, and, kind of shook the nation as far as the car sales side and things like that. So I think more than ever, the rest of this year is going to be really focused on fixed ops. So if you don't have, some of the basics buttoned up, this would be a good time to start that process. Also, I'll say that, when it comes to parts, when it comes to other areas of the fixed ops department other than service. I think those are opportunities that a lot of dealerships just haven't put a lot of effort into. I think parts would be one that would be sort of the next, but then you start looking at accessories, you start looking at tires, you start looking at, collision and body work. Those are all profit centers, right? And most dealerships do not put a strategy together for each of those to try to increase business. It's kind of done more organically, kind of just happens. People come in some days, you're like, oh, we had a busy week. Obviously, Revolution Parts is doing a great job of kind of leading the charge from a parts perspective. But, don't forget about accessories. Don't forget about tires. Don't forget about collision. Those are all profit centers that can really help, weather a down sales market when it comes to automotive.
And Carl, maybe you can respond to that because, I know eBay from conversations I've had, it sounds like at least with your dealers, you're doing about 3 times the volume on eBay than on Amazon, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. eBay is a really well-established marketplace, and it's really a great opportunity. There's a lot of shoppers in there that are looking for unusual and strange parts or stuff that they can't find elsewhere, and they get a lot of traffic. So it's a great place to put stuff out there that you need to move. And especially, again, in the short term, as you need to free up cash, it's a really great way to get some cash out of inventory and into your pocket.
Absolutely.
And I like to also emphasize the customer acquisition aspect of parts, because it's a big business. I think in the US it's around 10 to 12 billion a year is the parts business.
It's more in the hundreds of billions. You mean
hundreds of maybe I'm thinking of is it online parts specifically?
Online parts is about 18 billion a year.
It's about 18. Okay. For some reason, I felt like 2 years ago it was around 8. So I just assumed it was around 10 or 12 now. But
yeah,
it's a big business. People need and they buy parts. And even though it's not the highest of margins, it's a gross play, but it also is, like in Ed's case, right? You're out servicing vehicles in a van. That's a billboard. So if you can, if you're out advertising parts, people are running it, seeing your dealership. And then you throw in the whole delivery component. Now you're advertising your dealership in the process of delivering parts as well.
Well, and Ryan, to add to that a little bit, things are changing. This COVID and the shutdown is going to change the way people buy, and it's going to change the way people do business. And what we saw when this first came in is that sales went down a little bit as consumers were kind of shocked by what was going on. But the online sales have come back, and they've come back really fast. And and it's not just automotive, but I think in general, it's going to push a lot of people into the internet to buy stuff. It's going to really increase people's comfort level with ordering stuff and having it delivered to them. So it's a really good time. Not only for putting parts out there, but what Ed and Owen and Jeff were talking about, to also get people to your website to order service and to get out there to help them with service, because people are going to get a lot more comfortable with the idea of ordering online and have it come to your door. It's just the natural evolution of what's happening here.
So funny to think about that, because I feel like we've been talking about online, buying online and online sales for, it seems like forever. But to your point, I don't buy everything online. I still walk into a grocery store. But I think as you're seeing the demand, our behavior is changing because of this, and we're doing things that we might not have been doing 2 or 3 months ago as far as buying online.
I will tell you though, Ryan, I've never bought groceries online, and the last month, that's all we've done. In fact, my daughter works for one of our local grocery stores, and I mean, they did like 366 online orders a couple of days ago. I mean, they were so understaffed, they actually called her and said, hey, she was working in Starbucks, which obviously doesn't have as many needs for as many people. They called her up and said, hey, would you like to come help us with online delivery? We're short short staffed and we're over demanded. And so, it takes a little bit, right? I didn't do it. A lot of people were doing it 6 months ago. I didn't do it. And now I wouldn't do it any other way, because all I got to do is pull up. They put this up in my trunk and I'm off to the races. So the only bad thing is if you want to get produce and stuff, you have to make sure that obviously, we like to look and which ones do you want and things like that. You don't get that experience, but overall it was pretty convenient. I won't lie. So
yeah, it's pretty nice. Doorbell rings and you open it and there's some groceries sitting there. And I tell you, I know this is going to vary by state, but in Illinois here, they're going to require that you wear a mask when you go into public places starting May 1st, which I find kind of funny. It's like, it's like using birth control after you're pregnant. It's like, I don't get that. We should have been doing that. But I don't like that idea of being required to wear a face mask to go shopping. And so it might propel me to do more of my shopping online.
Well, and Ryan, I have to say, for some of us, it's not a good look.
Just for some of us. No, now there's a whole new thing. You got to have a cool face mask. It's got to express you. Yeah. Hey, there you go. There's a good dealer play, is make face masks to give to people with, that are cool though. Not like dumb, like this is our dealership, but like cool.
Stop digital right there, Owen.
Yeah. Cool stuff.
So that's, trust me, it's already been discussed. It's already a swag idea. So
opportunists.
Yep.
Hey, I'm gonna shut us down. I mean, we could talk forever about all this stuff, but it's good to get back up here with you guys and just kind of keep a pulse on things, right? And for those that are watching the recording or that are on the live stream, we're moving to doing these sessions every. The automotive ones are every week, which means because there's 6 of them. Right. We have 6 different programs. It means fixed ops will fall every 6 weeks. Okay. So kind of a little breather. I found a month happens so fast. And so I kind of anticipate, look forward to that little breather there. So we'll be back here for fixed ops in 6 weeks, but every Tuesday at 2:00, is one of our 6 automotive retail webcasts. I'm thinking of moving them to 3 Central. For logistical reasons, but these are recorded and then we feature them on the Auto Converse podcast, which is a whole different experience. And then obviously we feature the articles on autoconverse.com. So thanks again, guys, for being here. I really appreciate it. And let me know if I can be of assistance for you in any way, and what you need from us.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Great conversation. Great. Enjoyed it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Thank you, Ryan. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. You guys can bump off. I'm going to take the live stream offline. We'll be back here for our mobility tech and connectivity show tomorrow. And then we'll be back here on Tuesday of next week for auto retail. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Take care, Ryan.